the founder of C++ on how long it takes to learn a language, the man who created potentially the second hardest modern, I mean, the word modern is loose here, but used language, okay? Because I understand there's like malblanche and brainfuck, which are arguably much, much harder, but this is not it, okay? Rust being the hardest language, then comes this.
How long does it take to learn C++? Depends what you want to do and what you already know. If you are already a programmer in quite a few languages,
okay,
my recommendation is to read the Tour of C++ segment.
Tour of C++. Great book, by the way. I read it. Very, very fantastic. I actually liked it. The description of how elegant the standard is and how its definition of iterators and everything seemed so amazing. And then when you use iterators, they're really awful in the standard. It's so much just typing. Just why do I gotta type so much? But I love the idea of it, okay? I love the fact that you can delete from from a starting point to an ending point. It's beautiful. There's a lot of really great things in it.
In addition, you can do it in a weekend. And now you have the fundamentals, and you have to do some experimentation and probably dig deeper into the areas you're interested in. If you want to do anything, you have to pick up some libraries and learn them.
Yeah.
But we're talking days or weeks. But that assumes you're a programmer. If I have to explain to you what a linked list is, or what a vector is, or what a hash table is, then it takes much longer. So if you start from the beginning to reach the professional level, we're talking months and years. And one question I sometimes ask is, how long does it take to play a violin? To learn to play a violin? Well, if nobody's listening, it's easy. If only your mother has to appreciate it, maybe it'll do fine, but otherwise it'll take years. Now, if you're already a violinist and you want to play a viola, you can probably do it in a couple of weeks. Depends what you are, what your background is, what you already knows, and then how good do you want to be at it. If you're thinking about the Lincoln Center, you better spend years. And
I feel like learning C++ with prior knowledge, he's probably right. It probably just takes a couple weeks, a weekend, and all that. But learning to read someone else's C++ in which they've been writing for like a decade, it's going to take a long time. Okay, I remember being okay at C++, meaning that I can mostly do all the things in it, and I was pretty okay. This is when I was doing a lot of active development in it just a couple years back. I was doing a whole bunch, and I felt pretty happy about it. And then I go to look at this logging class that was set up, and I spent 3 days debugging through the logging class, GDB, printf. I even got CLion out to try to help me on this thing. Never understood it. Literally spent about 40 hours looking at code and never figured out how it works. I couldn't. I don't know what voodoo magic I was missing, but this dance between macros and then code, then the code then enacts more macros underneath, like that dance, impossible. When you get macros, templates, and code together, it's going to take you a long time. Long time.
The equivalent for a programming language. If you want to be the ace programmer, building the next generation infrastructure or the next absolutely great
there's a lot of inheritance too. You're right.
Application, you better spend some years learning not just the programming language, but your basic computer science and your application areas.
I think one thing that he doesn't quite talk a lot about in this, I know it's a really, really short video, but something that he doesn't address a lot of is that it's one thing to know the language. And what does it mean to know the language? Like you can use what? X percentage of its features, 70% of the features, 80% of the features without, like, you can kind of recall them and basically use them. But what does it mean to actually know a language? There's also kind of like a zeitgeist or an intended usage of a language. And that intended usage takes a while to become, like, to really get. Just because you understand how to write the language does not mean you actually know the language at all. Just because I could write, say, lines of JavaScript doesn't mean I am a JavaScript programmer. Even if you can write entire applications in JavaScript, you may not actually know how to use it correctly. And it's also really hard to know how to use a language correctly, that you can do it in many different ways. And so C++, JavaScript, and Rust all suffer from this exact same problem, which is that there's like tons of different ways to solve the exact same problem. And I find that to be a really difficult language to truly understand, because as time goes forward, you could go into someone else's project as an expert and be completely just befuddled by it, by how they chose to program it. It's massively different than how you would do it. And it becomes just like, it can become a very confusing thing. So many ways to do stuff. Heavy abstraction, easy to do that. And JavaScript has the same thing. The only difference is JavaScript's abstractions are often runtime abstractions as opposed to compile time. And so it's very difficult. That's one reason why I've been really just appreciating this Go journey, is that the Go journey, there's just really kind of like two ways you can do it. And it's beautiful. The name is I'm in my simplicity grug brain renaissance, and I've been loving it.